Hi everyone, I'm Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and I had actually this chair behind me dropped off at my front door today, and I was excited. I knew exactly what I wanted to do with this chair, so I am going to go through all the things that are going to happen to it. It's going to be a journey with this chair, and I hope you come along with the journey with me. So I'm Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures. Please subscribe, say hello, like, and I will just show you exactly what's going to happen with this chair. Let me put you down here. So this was dropped off today. It did have a seat. I took the seat off and I cleaned it up. And my first part on this chair I'm going to do is I found a green. It's kind of a mossy green. What colour is this? I'm not sure. It's, yeah, moss green, literally, moss green. I thought it was a mossy green and it literally says that. So I don't have much paint left, but this is just going to be the first part of the journey of this chair, and I'm just going to literally now slap on some moss green onto the chair and get it going, get it covered. This is, as I say, the first coat. I'm loving the colour, and we're going to go from there on this. And I have an idea what I'm doing with this chair. It's going to go, as I say, on a nice journey with us, but I'm not exactly sure on all the details of what I want to achieve with it. But let's see where this chair takes us. And as I go along doing it, I'm going to let you know how I'm thinking, feeling, what I'm doing, and why I'm deciding to do certain things with this chair. Because the chair or the piece of furniture that you are painting, it talks to you. It tells you what it wants. And pieces of furniture, pieces like this, it talks to different creators in different ways. So I'll let you know how it talks to me, how it's telling me what it wants, and I'm going to just keep going painting the chair. The chair has this wicker in the back, which I love. I know exactly what I want to do with this. This part is the only part of the chair that's not going to have any green on it. So I will show you what I'm going to do with that next. But right now, I'm just going to keep going, painting with moss, beautiful moss green colour, as I know this chair is going to end up some kind of garden patio, maybe for weddings, decoration, but it's going to end up a beautiful outdoor chair once I've finished with it. As I say, not quite sure exactly where I want to go with it, but I have ideas of what I want to do to it. So I'm so excited, and I'm going to get going on just getting this green on, this first colour, and I'm just going to do one coat of green pretty much all over. And let's just get going on that, and we'll get to the next step as soon as this colour is on. Alright. So next I am going to be using this one here. It's a bronze colour. I don't like gold or silver as much, but this actual bronze I quite like. So this is what I'm going to be putting on next. I'm going to be dry brushing. So as you can see, I've finished covering one coat of the moss green. It's now dry, and I just roughly painted it on. There's parts that it's not covered fully. I'm okay with this. This is just the base coat, and so now I'm going to go in with a smaller brush, and I'm going to dry brush this bronze colour. So dry brushing basically means, you can get a piece of paper here, putting some paint on your brush, taking some of it off, and then just wiping a lot of it off, and then just going over dry as you can, just accenting edges. So I'm going to be going in, detailing with a dry brush some edges. Mostly, as I say, a little bit of the edges and maybe around some of the detail. And Again, as I say, I don't want the brush too wet, so take some of it off and then just kind of go on some of the details with this bronze colour. If you find you've got too much, it's okay. This is not going to be a top coat, so when we do the next coat we can take some of it off, or if we find there's not enough we can always add some on. So I'm just going to go saying all the little nooks and crannies a little bit around, just detailing with this bronze colour to see how that comes out. Now these legs, if you can see the legs here, try and bring it up a minute, it's got some really nice shapes to them, so I'm definitely going to make sure I put a lot of the bronze, just dry brushing layer after layer onto the legs part, just to bring out some of this amazing detail on the legs. And just around the edges here and along here. Going along any curves, not too much, just a little onto some curves, definitely on the corners. And I'll just show you a little bit up here, not too much, but around these edges. These are beautiful corners to this piece, and just going around the edges and then pulling it down with definitely a dry brush around the edges. A little bit more up here. All these corners here, and pulling it out with a dry brush. Just making sure I get the corners. And just going around doing that everywhere, and it's going to take me a little while to get this detail all kind of enhanced with the bronze, but this is what I'm going to be doing, so when it's finished I'll show you that. Okay, so now I've got all the bronze on all the edges, the detail, the highlights. That is now dry and that is finished. So my next part would be using this. You've seen me do this before in different videos. If you haven't seen me using the petroleum jelly Vaseline before, I'm going to be putting this on little details, and what it is, it's an oil-based product, petroleum jelly, and wherever I put this, when I put the next step on, which will be actually milk paint, the paint will not stick. And after the top coat is dry and I wipe away, which would be wiping away this petroleum jelly, wiping it away completely with a dry cloth, it will reveal underneath some of this beautiful moss green and bronze colour. So that's what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be using with my fingers, putting this on some of the detail, some of the parts, very thinly, thinly areas, but quite thickly putting it on thin areas, if you understand what I mean, because I want just the little bits of the tips of the bronze and the green poking through. So I'm going to go around all the edges and just putting it on the detail. As I say, I want to put it on thickly because I definitely don't want my top milk paint coat to go over this. I don't want it to stick to this, but I don't want chunks missing. So I'm just putting it in very small areas but quite thickly on. And just go around the whole thing where you want it to be. As I say, the edges some detail. And just take your time putting it on. And this is the next part, and I'm just going to go around the whole chair putting this exactly where I don't want the top coat to adhere to the chair. So I'm going to carry on doing this exactly as I say, where I want the bronze or the nice beautiful moss green to show through. I'll just take my time. Okay, now I have all the petroleum jelly, Vaseline, and all the little detail areas that I'm hoping the top coat doesn't adhere to. And when I do a final wipe down with a dry cloth at the end, I'm hoping some of this beautiful moss green and the bronze will pop through. What I'm going to be doing next is using milk paint, which this is my first time. So it's so exciting. This is what the product is. And what I have is I got it all in one. It comes in a powder form in a bag inside. And you measure out 1 part powder to 1 part water. And you measure it into the container it comes in. And then inside is a ball. And you keep the ball in and you shake. You shake really well, because you want it mixed really good. And then I'm going to be doing a top coat of this. It's white milk paint, maybe 2 coats over the whole thing. And I'm hoping that it'll crack nicely in some places and it'll adhere nicely in other places. This is my first time using this product, so I'm hoping it's going to be fun, and I don't know how it's going to come out, and that's the fun part of doing this project. So it's going to be very liquidy, and I can see now it needs a little more mixing. So I'm going to mix it a little more with my brush, because I don't want it chalky. Yeah, it's looking nice. It's quite smelly, quite potent of paint, but apparently it's not bad for you, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm going to be putting this thickly everywhere, all over the whole thing. I might do 1 coat and I might do 2 coats. I don't know. I'm just going to have fun putting this everywhere, into all the nooks and crannies over the whole thing, and just keep going back checking, because you don't want runs and drips, but you do want it to be liberal, you know, but it's quite watery, the paint. And I didn't know how much to make, so I may have to make more, but right now I'm just going to try and go over the whole thing and just keep going and let it just do its thing. And as it dries, it just decides where it wants to touch and where it doesn't want to touch, and what it wants to do, whether it wants to crack, whatever it wants to do. So I'm going to have some fun with this. And it's definitely not going where the petroleum jelly is, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to keep going around, trying to put as thick coat as I can. As I say, I'd like to just not have to do 2 coats, but we'll see. And just making sure there's no drips anywhere, and just keep going over it. I'm definitely glad I have the window open right now, because I find it quite smelly compared to, I'm used to chalk paint, that's what I'm used to using, and this milk paint actually really does smell of paint. So if you're not used to that, you'll have to get used to that with this product. So I'm just going to slap it on as thickly as I can, and when it's completely covered and dry, I will show you that next part. Right, so I am back with it dry. I've gone over with a dry cloth and rubbed everywhere, which has now revealed some of the green and some of the wood and a little bit of the bronze, and it's nice and dry. I want to go back over again now, and I'm going to dry brush again a little bit more of the bronze, as I want to just highlight on it dry brushed, as I say, you know, putting some paint on the brush and then dabbing it back off and just kind of going over the edges just a little bit, and just dry brush a little, which means putting paint on and taking it off, and then just going back over in places that you've got detail. Oh, didn't want that there. Let's go back in there. Detail, and places that you've got the green poking through. I'm just going back over again with the bronze. So just picking up some paint, going in, and just layering. We've got some nice rustic look right now, but I just want it to have a little more pretty, just as I think this piece would look amazing if it was for photographs on a wedding day with some flowers. So that's what I'm hoping to kind of achieve for this piece. And you know, as I say, just kind of going back over a lot of the corners and just dry brushing back over with the bronze to give it some pretty and some reflection, because it's a metallic, it's reflective, and that's what I'm trying to achieve with just going back over a little bit more with the details, and just coming in, dry brushing where you want it to be, and just, this is the artistic side now, is you feel for it, how much you want it to shine, how much you want it to be rustic, what you feel that you're going to be using the piece for. And as I say, this one I kind of want, I'm going to put some flowers on it, I'm going to put some rustic on it, a little bit on the pretty side as well as rustic. So I kind of wanted a little sparkle, and that's why I'm going back in with the bronze on some of the details, and just dry brushing it on, and going into the crevices, going back over where the green is, and just giving some sparkle, and also giving some texture as well, because it's metallic. And I've just got a dry cloth here because I just want to push back in any areas that I just feel like I'm putting too much on while it's still wet. And I'm getting it on my elbow, but that's okay. Just doing the shape of the wood, going over some angles of the wood and showing, just basically highlighting the shape of the chair is what I'm trying to achieve. And anywhere that you feel you put too much, you can always go back in with the white as well. And you don't want to put it on too thin, because then with it being a metallic paint, it won't work. But you also want it dry brushed light, because you don't want too much. It's just it's enhancing rather than covering. So you're just enhancing the shape of the chair. So mostly on the corners, on the crevices, and just going around. And going over, back over with a little bit more of the bronze. And just keep layering it up until you're happy with it, and just keep layering the different colours. With a dry brush. Thinning out to, because it's dry brush, you're thinning it out. You don't want it to just stop abruptly anywhere. As I say, just build it up how you feel that you want it to be. And just wanting a little prettiness into the chair with some colour. You could go gold, you could go bronze, you could go any kind of metallic, or even a gilding wax maybe. You can use that for the same effect. So I'm just going to keep building on this and building up more, and then just blending it in. And I will get back and show you when it is dry. We will do the next part. Hi, and now the next part. We have done all the painting and it dried overnight, and what I did this morning was I got a smooth sandpaper, 220 grit, and I sanded everywhere except for here. I did not sand this part, but I sanded all the wood that had been painted. I sanded it down, and then I also put a clear coat of poly clear coat over the top. The reason I used a clear coat on this was that I will be putting it outside. Now this is still an indoor chair. I'm not saying that any indoor chair, when they have a clear coat, can go outside in the rain, snow, in January, February. It's not. It will corrode over time. It's not the correct wood for outside. But to put it on in a covered patio area, or to put it out on certain days that are beautiful sunny days, or if you're going to do basically a wedding or a party and you want to just put it in an area that looks beautiful, that's what I'm creating this chair for. So it's going to be just for display only in beautiful weather, and undercover if weather's not so good, and definitely in fall and winter it would have to come back inside unless you want it to kind of rustic down naturally on its own. That's your choice. But I never would say put an indoor piece of furniture outdoor unless it is actually really an outdoor piece of furniture. You know, the wood is been treated for outside weathers, extreme weathers. So what I'm doing next is I'm going to be putting some white wax over the top. Now I've already done clear coat, so it is clear, it is on there. So the wax now is just basically going over any areas that I want to tone down with the white wax. So I am just putting it on the darker areas and then just rubbing it back off. So I'm getting lots, I've got just a regular chippy brush here, and I'm just putting the white wax over the whole thing, doing a section at a time, and just going over. And as I say, this is not for protection, this is to actually give some detail and some depth into the piece. So it's going to be toning down some of the bronze colour, some of the moss green. It will tone that down, but I will be going back over again with a dry lint-free cloth and just pulling it back a little bit so that it's just a little in there, you know, just bringing it back a little bit, but leaving also some of the wax on. It's only a subtle difference, but it does give that little bit of a difference on there. So I'm going to go over everywhere with that, and then I think I'm going to go, I wasn't sure if I wanted to go in with a black wax or a dark wax, and I think I'm going to use the antique wax. So I'm just going to go in, let me see if I can open that. It's this product here, antique wax, and I'll show you what I'm going to be doing with this, and then I will be finishing this part off. So I'm getting a small chippy kind of artist brush, finding the actual, there you go, and I'm just going to just go in any details with the antique wax. So back in again, very lightly. Any details, any corners, I'm going in, and this is just to help give it that aged look. I'm just going to take my time, do the white wax first, and then go back in with just the antique wax for any corners, any lines. And as I say, I'm just doing it subtle, just to give a little aging to the piece. Just do the corners and then sweep it out to the centre. Again, just put it in and then sweep out. And this is just giving it some age, giving it some more texture. Where you think it's needed, and I'm just going to keep going around doing this, and I think that I put a little too much, so I'm going to come back in with my lint-free cloth just here and just pat it in. Takes away some of the bulk, and then try and then pull it out, and if you still feel it's too much, go back in with the lint-free. And then if you find just a little too much again, go over with the white wax. So I'm going to, as I say, going to go around the whole thing, just highlighting and low lighting, giving some age to it, just on the corners, just in the details, taking my time. And when this is finished, the next step will be dressing it up. So I'll have some fun and dressing it up and displaying it. So I will carry on doing this, and then when this is finished, I'll be back. Okay, so the chair is finished. I've already stapled in some chicken wire into the bottom here, and on top of that I am going to put in one of these. It's a cocoa liner, and I'm not watering it right now, but when I put it outside this needs to be wet. So I'm just going to show you what I'm doing and how I'm doing this, and then I'm going to take it back apart, and I want this wet because that'll be good for the plants. So you just put this in place like that, and I'm going to do a mixture of real flowers and a mixture of fake, just to give it that professional kind of look. So these here are real and they're quite dry, so I don't need watering as well, but I will deal with that later. So I'm going to put these in, and I'm going to put, these are real and they trail, so I want these to go on the front. So this will go in, you never want any tags in. You want this to go in kind of at an angle like this to trail. There you go. And there's another one here, and I think I will trail again on this side. So I'm going to push this together, and as I say, it needs more soil, it needs dealing with, and that's okay because we're going to put water and more soil in before putting it outside. And as the sun comes to these plants, it'll look really nice. So next we are going to be putting some fake in. And the first fake is going to be this one here, and it's going to give a little bit of height. And again up here for a little bit of height. And now we are going to play around with it, and I'm going to put some real with fake, as I said. These are beautiful. I'm not sure if I want to take them apart or keep them together. So what I'm going to do is lift this one up, bring this one down in the front here, play around with it as you can see. And now I want to move this in. The real flowers are just smelling absolutely beautiful. And then I'm going to use these pink ones here to just fill in some gaps. And here. Try and bunch together, especially colours bunch together. And then I think this one, I may just, yeah, I'm going to just try and hang this one just a little bit over the edge like that. Let's split this up a little bit to give it some more colour. And then up here, let's see. So always step back, see what you're doing. Right now, I see it doesn't have enough height. It has beauty, but it doesn't have height, so this needs to be stuck like that up here. These come, as I say, back down. And now I have lost this trailing one, so the trailing one needs to come a little bit more out. You really want that to trail. While I don't have enough dirt in here, I'm just going to prop it up with that, and then put these in over the top. it doesn't get lost as it is again here on this side. So bring it back to the front. Group this one together. The fine line of height and width you will play with for a while. And you just keep playing with it until you have what you want. I think I'm going to go higher here, and I'm going to go a little lower onto one side. So I'm going to put some earth in, and I'm going to take it outside and take some pictures, and you'll see the final thing. So this is basically how I'm making a garden chair, and you can see how I make it. I'm going to, as I say, put some earth in the basket, and then when I'm finished, I'm going to put some moss around, and that will be really nice too. So I am going to do that as well, and let's see if I can get this moss around here. This moss gets everywhere, but the moss is basically hiring any wire, giving it some beautiful greenery, and hiding any of the basket. So spread it out. Give it some nice moss, push it in, make sure you've got it everywhere you want it, let it hang down. You want green moss under here, you want basically a little skirt of moss poking through under here. Make sure it's all on some beautiful moss, and lots on this corner here. And again on this side, I'll reach over and see. Covering everywhere with the moss, making sure you cover all the chicken wire basically. So it's got some beauty and some height. To put some moss up here, hiding this. Keep playing with this one, but I just need some height for it. So I'm going to use this under it to give it height. I want it to have some height. And just keep putting in moss covering the whole chair. And to pull out some of these beautiful roses here. Give them a little bit more freedom from the bunch, I think, as they are absolutely beautiful. Cluster together these beautiful flowers, these fresh ones, and some height. And there we go. I think that's starting to look nice. I'm going to, as I say, try and put this up here. Like that. That's where I'm trying to go with it. And just have it flowing from height down. So I am, as I say, going to go and put it in the garden and get some pictures, and you can see that how this garden is going to go. So I hope you enjoyed the transformation of this chair into a garden chair, and I will post some pictures. Thanks for watching. I am Julie from Julie's Everything Treasures, and I think this journey of this chair is starting to go well, and I will show you the pictures of the end result. I'm just going to take it into the garden now, alright?